Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order, that being the regular council meeting of Warwick Township Council, September 8th, 2025, and starting at 3:30. I remind council of disclosure of pecuniary interest. Does anybody have a conflict of interest they'd like to declare at this time? Seeing none. Thank you. I'd like to invite everybody that's joining us through our Warwick Township YouTube link. And now I'm going to do the acknowledgement of ancestral lands. We acknowledge that the Township of Warwick is located on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, as well as the many Indigenous nations in Ontario, whose footsteps have marked them for centuries. We also wish to acknowledge that we are situated on Treaty 29 and Treaty 25 territories signed by Chippewa chiefs, and we offer our respect and gratitude for these lands. I'm going to take everybody to number 5 on the agenda. That's the minutes of the previous council meeting. That was the minutes of August 11th, 2025. Any questions on those minutes, council? Seeing none. Somebody like to do the honors? Moved by Councillor Manning, seconded by Councillor Westgate. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And there was no business arising? Thank you. We'll go to 7, schedule meetings and events. So there's 7A. Anybody has any questions on those? Not seeing anybody. On the bottom of that particular 7A though, I know everybody's been notified by email, but there's a proposed changing of time of the special council meeting on Monday, September 22nd from 3:30 to 1:30. Does that cause an issue for anybody? Okay, if not, I'd like to see a motion if I could to approve that change of time. Councillor Morris, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kallenberg. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Go to 7B. That's an FYI. If anybody has any questions on 7B, not seeing any. Thank you very much. Let's go to number 8 if we could. Councilors' commitment dates. Does anybody have anything wish to add to the list this time? No. Councillor Westgate.
I'll be away October the 30th to November the 9th.
All right. Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else at this time? Oh, seeing none. Thank you. We're going to go to 8B, and this is councillor items. I'm going to start with Councillor Manning today. Councillor Manning?
Yes, I would like to mention that on August 31st, we had the annual Decoration Day at the Warwick and the Watford Cemetery. So as chair of the cemetery board, I'd like to extend a thank you to the members of our cemetery board, our staff who did an outstanding job on it. Wayne Fish and Kelly Thompson, who also provided music and a pipe. Also, the Watford Legion provided the light lunch afterwards. And a big thank you to Bill Denning from Denning's Funeral Home, who provided the service at donation. And he did an excellent job as always. It adds a real nice touch to this. So if anybody didn't make it out there this year, please come out next year. It's a fantastic event. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Kallenberg, anything for today?
Nothing for today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Westgate.
I have nothing for today.
Councillor Morris.
I also have nothing for today.
All right, thank you. I want to make one point. When we were in Ottawa at the AMO conference, we did have an opportunity to speak to the Associate Minister of Energy about natural gas expansion in our community again. I don't know how many meetings it's been to date that we've had with them, but I would say that meeting seemed to be somewhat promising. We were listened to. They're trying to find a way of making it work. We also had Enbridge join us as a partner, and recognizing we have a very good business plan as a municipality to bring natural gas to our community. So I just want to keep people in the public up to date where we are. And later on in the agenda, there's actually a little piece when it comes to natural gas and expansion that we'll be dealing with as well. So that's all I have for today as well, folks. So what we're going to do, council, is we're going to skip over delegations because we're running a little bit ahead. Let's go to 11, to accounts, the GL report. Did anybody have any questions on the GL report for today? Seeing none? Okay. How about the accounts payable? 11B. No questions? Okay, council, I would entertain a motion to approve both A and B if council saw fit. Moved by Councillor Morris. Seconded by Councillor Manning. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Let's go to number 12, the consent agenda. And let's talk about, let's just go through them here. So 12A, did anybody have any questions on the non-action? Yes, Councillor Morris.
Yeah, just one I'd like to speak on for a minute, and that was 0941 and 0901. They both are the same regarding the veterans benefits, increasing the benefits from $20,000 a year to $40,000 a year for a single person. It seems like pretty low. I wondered if, like, with Veterans Week coming up, and then if we should support that. I'd like to make a motion to support that.
Thank you, Counselor. Do we have a seconder to that motion? Counselor Manning is seconding it. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Counselor. Anybody else have anything on the non-action? Seeing none, thank you. How about B, minutes from the Warwick Township Cemetery Board meeting of August 8th, 2025. Any questions on that? The chair has just made a point of recognizing everybody during Decoration Day. Nothing else? Very good. How about 12C, minutes from the special council meeting on August 26, 25. Anybody? No? Okay, I would ask for a motion to receive and file A to D as amended, if I could, please. Councillor Manning, Deputy Mayor Kellenberg is seconding it. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, we still have time. Let's go to 13 if we can then. Reports and items requiring a motion. So there is no action correspondence at this time. B, holiday customer service levels and office operations during the holidays. And there is a recommendation. Maybe I'll have Trevor Jarrett speak to this if I could. Mr. Jarrett?
Simply, we're here at 8 o'clock now. And 90% of the people are working on catching up from the day before, but we do have capacity whereby we can open the door at 8 o'clock. We don't till 8:30 just to give everyone that opportunity. If we open the door at 8 o'clock, we might get 1 or 2 people coming in to start with, but I think that once people get more accustomed to our hours, it's a level of service whereby people who are working out of town have that extra half hour that we can accommodate and they can do their business on more friendly terms for them. In order to do that, though, I am trying to tie it into the similar holiday schedules last year, whereby we shut at the 24th at noon and come back on the 2nd. And staff have been addressed about it. It's just for this office. It's not for the ELCC because the ELCC have staff in place. Early morning, they start at 7:30. It doesn't really impact them. But here, it's just open the door earlier and going to the same Christmas coverage as last year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jarrett. Does anybody have any questions on this? There's 2 pieces here. New starting time of 8 o'clock in the morning. Our staff does start at 8 o'clock in the morning, but the door doesn't open till 8:30 currently. That's the situation. It's just a matter of opening the door at 8 instead of having the door closed. That's the first one. Does anybody have any questions on that particular item? Seeing none. And the second is dealing with the holiday schedule. We deal with this every year. And the recommendation is to obviously close at noon on the 24th and then back on the 2nd. Any questions on that? And I guess in the report, it also does state how the public would be looked after during that period of time with special phone numbers and contacts and stuff like that. Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments with this particular schedule for the holidays? Councilor Morris?
I can't say I'm 100% in favor of it, but your facts have come through that it wasn't really needed. I still think we should have a skeleton crew after Christmas, for the 27th, 28th, 20, whatever that week is there. But I'll respect the rest of council's wishes.
Thank you, Councilor Morris. Anybody else want to get in on this one? Seeing none? Okay, there is a recommendation before us. How does council wish to deal with that recommendation? And again, that recommendation includes both things. Opening the doors at 8 o'clock in the morning, staff starts at that time anyways. That's one. The second piece is accommodation for the holiday season. And in accommodating that, the folks do have to have the time, holiday time available or time in their bank to be able to be eligible for that. And that's how that would work. And I guess Mr. Jarrett feels everybody will have that at that particular time. So there's 2 pieces to it. Okay.
The reason why we're coming at this point rather than a month or 2 down the road is it allows people to defer RDOs so they have it accordingly.
Okay, how does council wish to deal with this piece of business before us? Deputy Mayor Kallenberg.
I'll move to go with the recommendation provided.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconded by Councilor Westgate. Any further discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, C. This is a public works item. And it's a snow bucket recommendation. How does council wish to deal with this particular piece of business? So this to buy the snow bucket, it was not in the budget, but it's something that our public works fellows are telling us that could be very useful for them. Any questions or comments on this particular piece of business? Councillor Morris.
Does Public Works have the room in their budget that they have saved to be able to afford to buy this, or should we wait for next year's budget?
There have been a few savings whereby we can afford it this year. And there's going to be a couple of projects that are going to be delayed, but I think a smart play would be you buy it this year, budget it next year, and you just prepay it basically is what it's going to be.
Okay, anybody else have any comments or questions on this particular piece? Okay, how does council wish to deal with the recommendation? Councilor Westgate. Thank you, Councilor Westgate, seconded by Councilor Morris. Any further discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Sorry, if I get you, Mr. Jared, to speak to this particular piece of business. Thank you.
Thank you. There's going to be another intake for the natural gas expansion program. And you have to have basically an expression of interest to do so. And this resolution is our expression of interest. Copies have moved to our local MPP and will also go to the government. And we've also engaged and we've had interactions with Enbridge in terms of bringing up what is rated as the PI. As those that know, it's a profitability index. You have to be in the first or second quadrant in order to qualify. We've always landed in the third. We've never understood why. We're now getting the information shared with us. And we've taken the steps necessary whereby we believe that we have the tools in place to work with Enbridge to get us into Q1 or Q2 of the quadrants to move forward. So we don't want to miss the opportunity. So this is just to get our ticket to the game.
Anybody have any questions? No? Who would like to, Councilor Morris, were you making the motion? Do we have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Kallenberg, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, we're right on time pretty much. We're going to back up the bus here a little bit. We're going to go to delegations and timed events. So the first delegation and timed event today is the Old Redmond Drain consideration meeting. And there is a process. Thanks, George. So we'll let George get settled in from Spreets. Good to go, George? Perfect. Okay, so this is the consideration of the drainage reports dated September 8th, 2025. I'm going to proceed into the consideration of the drainage report for the Old Redmond Drain 2025. Mayor will also state any petitioner has the right to withdraw from the petition. Does anyone wish to withdraw? Not seeing anybody. Any other owners in the area requiring drainage have the right to sign the petition. Does anyone wish to sign a petition? Seeing nobody. Okay. I am now going to turn it over to George from Spreet & Associates to explain his report. George, please, if you'd be so kind.
Thank you, Your Worship. We are pleased to present our report on the Old Redmond Drain 2025. This was an older report that some of the tiles were in working order, but the owners were reporting that the tiles were not working as well as they would like, and they were experiencing a lot of surface water. So we investigated this a little bit further. Just for area here, this is just north of town here by Waste Management, north of them to the west. So from the intersection there to the west, and it outlets there into an open water channel. The existing tiles were quite old in nature, so there was a section 78 request for improvement on those. And there was also a section 4 request for a new drain or new drain extension on branch A here. The review throughout this process, we reviewed this with Waste Management. They do have stormwater management facilities on the top end of this drain. However, within those stormwater management facilities, they do not have what's called an erosion control phase, which slows down very common or smaller rain events. So there's been a little bit of increase in tile size along the route of the drain to accommodate that, which has been assessed to them accordingly. And then there's also been a regular 38.5-inch drain for the rest. There's approximately 2.3 kilometers of tile to be replaced here, which varies from 8 to 30-inch from top end to bottom end. And the total anticipated project cost is $453,000. If there's any questions, I would welcome those now.
Thank you, George. Before I get there, Kyle, did you have any comments on this particular drain?
Thank you. I don't have any additional points at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Does anyone who is present wish to ask any questions or make any comments? See nobody? Good. So if the report is approved, the bylaw will be given first and second reading later in the meeting. So I thank everybody for coming and appreciate their time. So we'll move on, folks, to the second delegation timed event that we've got for today. And that is the zoning amendment application. And that's a zoning application for 7386 Ellerton Road. And I'm going to read the following. Now going to announce that the next item on council's agenda is the holding of the public meeting with respect to the application and council's consideration of bylaw to amend Warwick zoning bylaw 121 of 2012 on lands described as concession 6 NER PT lot 7 RP 25R 64-2 known municipally as 7386 Ellerton Road in the township of Warwick. The purpose of the amendment is to permit a proposed surplus farm dwelling severance. I'm going to ask the clerk the following: the method of giving public notice to the meeting and the date notice was given. Madam Clerk.
Notices were sent by regular mail and posted on the property on August 13th, 2025.
Thank you. Now I'm going to state the following. Any person requiring further notice on the passing of the bylaw should give their name and full mailing address to the clerk before leaving the meeting. Any persons present who wish to make oral or written submissions should provide the clerk with their name and full mailing address. Also, persons wishing to address the bylaw should ask their questions through myself, the chair. I'm now going to proceed. The clerk will now read any written submissions. Do we have any readings? No written submissions? Thank you, Madam Clerk. The planner will now give their report. Go on, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, respected council members, viewing public and the applicants. All right, next slide, please. All right, so the property is located 7386 Ellerton Road. The property is zoned agricultural 1, A1. It has some additional zoning overlays, which is environmental protection. So we have some lands designated hazard around some drains and some lands designated woodlot, which is kind of hard to see on the image because of overlays issues of the hazard overlay. The surrounding properties are similar. They're agricultural with agricultural businesses and single detached residences. Next slide, please. The picture on the left is a picture of the property from the road. The picture on the right, it's a bit hard to see, but it shows the single detached residence on the lot to the left. There is a storage structure on the right, and behind that storage structure, there's a couple of grain bins. So as part of the severance application, the storage structure would require to be would require a change of use permit to change its use from agricultural to residential, because this is going to change the use of the property to residential. And the grain bins behind would have to be removed. Next slide, please. So these are the grain bins behind. If the lot is going to be severed off for residential purposes, anything that's agricultural related would have to go with the retained agricultural portion of the lot. As such, these grain bins can't remain, and they would have to be removed. These will be achieved through conditions of consent, not in today's application, but a future application. And discussing with the applicants, they have agreed that they would be able to remove these. Next slide, please. So this is the proposed rezoning. So as you can see, within the severed lot, there is the residence. There is a storage structure in the middle with the grain beds to the north of it. And the reason this lot line was chosen was it's to get the residential cluster, but it's also to include the septic bed, which is at the back. So giving a review of this, this is actually a very simple one. It meets all legislation. It has has all the minimum land sizes required for the severed lot and the retained. So the severed lot, as per our official plan, needs a minimum of 1 acre. Anything above an acre requires further justification. In this case, it has it. So in Warwick, we have clay soils, and on clay soils, we need at least 2 acres for septic. Here, what's being proposed is 2.6, and that additional amount that's required is the septic bed in the back. It's to get that within the severed lot. The retained parcel has more than 38 hectares, which is what's the minimum that's required to avoid a farmland fragmentation. Moving on. So this is the proposed zoning schedule. And for a full review, it meets the lot size requirements. NBS is exempt from this because within the investigation distance, that's 750 meters from the severed lot, there's no livestock facilities, so it's exempt. The residence is surplus to the farm, to farm consolidation. And the lot is properly serviced. Next slide, please. As it meets all intent of planning legislation, the recommendation to council is that they approve this zoning bylaw amendment. I open myself to any questions you may have.
Okay, first we're gonna hear from, sure, I'll tell you what, can you pop up here for a second? We do live streaming here, so if I can get you to come up here. No,
Live next door with the separate garage.
sure. Well, please come up, and what we'll do is we'll get you settled in. And Trevor, maybe you can help the gentleman with that, and we'll let you ask your question. Very good, thank you.
My name's Rod Cates, and yeah, I'm the one with the garage on the other side, so I guess I just have a couple questions. So is the house included? It's very vague in this, what we got mailed out to us, and the map is, there's no size to it. I can't tell if my house is the same size as that. Like my lot is 1.8 acres. It looks like it's the same slice that you guys want, but now you're talking, you want to include the septic system on the old property on Ellerton, but you're going to tear down the grain bins. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. So through your worship. So as part of the surplus farm dwelling severance, when we're severing off for residential, we want to make sure that the house itself has its own servicing, so that the servicing is not on the other retained portion. So everything has to be contained within that lot. Regarding the grain bins, so because it's being severed and rezoned as rural residential, it's not appropriate to have things that's associated with a farm on a residential property, basically. Right? So that's why those will have to be removed. Am I missing anything else in your question?
So there's nothing to stop, because what's to say down the road? Because this, I know Plimpton, Wyoming, that's where I grew up. I don't know if they even do it. I don't know if it's changed, but they didn't do any severances because of the problems when you sever something and then somebody from a big city comes out and buys it and then interrupts all the farmland work that's taking place around. Say worst case scenario, something happened to that family and somebody came in and bought that. I'm sure it's likely an incorporation, but bear with me. If somebody came in and another family came in from Toronto and wanted to build in there, we've got people spreading 5-6 times. There's very large farms around us, all around this area you're talking about. I'd be more worried about that, but I'm not a farmer myself. I'm just a little guy in that little house next door that's gonna have his sunset blocked and not be able to see anything from that side of my property that I only bought because there was no terrible neighbor on that side and there was a great neighbor on the other side. I don't know what kind of power I have talking in this, but for me and my wife and my family, for certain, we prefer it not to happen. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you.
Johan?
Through your worship, that's a very reasonable concern. So I'm going to give a bit of history on what's happened in our municipality and Ontario as well. So quite a whiles back, severances were allowed quite easily in the agriculture area. This caused a lot of issues. But for Warwick, that was the case, and it was the case in a lot of municipalities across Ontario. This caused a lot of issues for farmers reasonably because a minimum distance separation calculations are required every time a farmer is putting down a livestock barn, and the more residential that comes, the harder it is. So what the province ended up doing is they stopped all severances for residential in the agriculture area. This caused a further issue because when farmers bought other farmers' lands, they would have the land, but then they would have the house. And because they weren't allowing severances, and because the policies only allowed one house, they would have to tear it down quite often, right? So that seemed like a waste of tearing down proper residences. So an exception was created. The exception was if a farmer's consolidating, so if they're buying more properties to make their operation much larger, instead of tearing it down, if it meets certain criteria, as we looked at today, then they can sever it off only in those circumstances.
I agree. Actually, sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say.
If it comes to you, we'll turn it back over to you. Okay, so this part of the process actually is what we hear for those in favor of the bylaw. We've just made an exception to it to answer the one question. Does anybody want to speak in favor of this particular item? Not here presently. Okay, very good. Members of council may provide any questions or comments about the application. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none. John, sorry, Deputy Mayor Kallenberg.
No, I think this this should happen. There's still 95 acres retained. It's within the provincial policy. We have other situations where we're not in provincial policy. It also creates a residential lot, which the farmers maybe around there, they'll have to build barns further away from that house. But if you already have a lot across the road, that's already in play. So and concerns of people from the city coming to the country, well, that's their choice and they have to live with the country. So that's my opinion.
Hey, Deputy Mayor. Yes, been a question.
Sorry, I think a lot of the big time farmers are tearing down houses anyway because they're just tired of renters, to be honest. And it's not really a thing to save the farmers anything, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm just a small guy. They got lots of land. I just wish it could be somewhere else. That's all.
All right, I appreciate your comments. Anybody else? Council Westgate?
I'm not quite ending your problem. They're not gonna build anything here that's not already there.
Well, in the future, very near future, I'd like to build a drive shed on my property as well, which is gonna also be complicated now, obviously, by this, possibly down the road. Hopefully, I'm doing it before that. But
It shouldn't make a difference down the road for you building a drive shed. In fact, the farmers are gonna have to build farther away because of the extra house being there, a residential area.
so when would it be built on? As you're talking as a retirement, this is a retirement thing only? Like how many houses could be built on it?
None, just the one that's there.
Just the one that's there.
And on the rest of the land, nobody can build there now. After it's severed,
Okay,
so nobody could build another house on that land that's been severed off. So you're only gonna have the one house there. You're not gonna have anything else come in and block it,
the house that's there existing right now.
except the
Okay, well,
house
this
that's
is
there.
very confusing and that what we had mailed out to us.
So I really don't see where you're gonna have a problem down the road that wouldn't exist. This wouldn't improve your
Yep. I'm
situation.
just coming from a farming community where we tried to sever four boys and it just wasn't ever a possibility and we knew why, because there was all these other reasons, but no, that's it's good information. I appreciate that.
Okay, and this is why we have this process, so people can come and they can ask the questions and get clarity. So I appreciate that. I'm gonna move on unless there's any other questions from council. Okay. Oh, Councilor Morris.
Joanne, the question on the grain bins, they can be relocated, right? They don't have to be torn down?
To your worship, yes, that's correct. If they move it to the retaining lot, then that's fine.
Okay, anybody else?
Which would be the retaining lot, do you mean? On the other side or on my side? Are they moving them closer to me, you mean, or further away?
Johan,
answer that.
Johan, you want to take that question?
That's the lot. Is that your wider one there?
Which way's north?
Then this would be.
Johan, can you speak to this, please? Or Steve, would you like to speak to this? I'll need you to grab.
Green bins were built in 1990.
Steve, we need you to get to a microphone if you'd be so kind. That's the joys of streaming. We'll get you to, Stephanie will help you up by getting the button pushed and you're good to go. Go ahead.
Yeah, like the grain bins were built in 1990. They're 6-inch unloads. We're likely gonna move the overhead and the leg to my home farm and the rest will go in a scrap dumpster. Like they're,
You're gonna keep this. So your plans are to keep this parcel of land that you sever in the family?
oh yeah, Eric's gonna live in the house.
Okay.
We're just severing it off. And I'm keeping the farm. That's,
Okay. I want everybody to go home feeling that they are more knowledgeable when they came through the door when they leave today. Any other questions before I proceed? Anybody? Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna proceed. Sure, Mike.
So it may not be related. It's just kind of, maybe this isn't the place, but it involves the piece of property that's gonna be severed. Warwick Township has, years ago, they filled in all our ditches on our road on Hickory Creek with rocks and cement and a bunch of nasty fill from forest when they were doing construction. And all around, not on the one side of the land we're talking about, but all along the Hickory Creek side, there's no ditch. The water runs down that hill into my land, like it just floods my property out. Is there any consideration that if they do the severance, when I called the gentleman, and I don't know who I was talking to, but he said that they weren't gonna finish because they had started coming all the way down the road and they stopped just at our place. And he said that they weren't gonna finish it because the farmers didn't want them finishing it and taking all their ditches away and stuff, so, or giving them ditches, so. I'm just curious, is that something that, like, shouldn't they have ditches on this property if you're gonna sever it off, and shouldn't it, because right now where we are, it comes down a hill and all that water, the Bergen's corner there, it floods out all the time and there's no way for it to get away. It's a really, really actually a bad corner for drainage. Thank you.
Okay, so what I would suggest you do is get a hold of Kyle from our office. This is a drainage question. So I would bring that question to Kyle and Kyle will discuss that with you and talk to our engineers and they can educate you and explain to you what can and can't be done if that works for you.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to proceed. The public meeting is now concluded. Council may consider passing the zoning bylaw amendment at the meeting or at a future meeting. A copy of council's decision will be mailed to those who have requested notification under section 34. Bracket 19 of the Planning Act. Only certain individuals and organizations are eligible to appeal council's decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. These include the applicant, a public body, a specific person as defined in the act, or a person or public body who made oral submissions at the public meeting or written submissions to council before the bylaw. So a notice of appeal must be filed with the clerk of the Township of Warwick no later than 20 days after the date on which notice of council's decision is given. The notice of appeal must set out the reasons for the appeal and be accompanied by the required fee payable to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you. That concludes this portion of the meeting. Is our next delegation in the meeting? Okay, are we on time? We are pretty much almost time. What are we sitting at?
When they get logged in.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and log in.
Ask a question.
Yes,
Have you done the all Redmond training?
yes, we did. Yes, we did. It didn't take very long. There was no questions. We started right on time. Did you, we can entertain a question or two if you want. Our drainage fellow,
To understand what the process or procedure was gonna be.
yep.
So I was told it was 3:45. I didn't realize it was gonna start before that, so I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. We were maybe a minute early, if anything. We started pretty much right on time. We pretty much follow a routine, but there was no questions, no comments. And when there's like a situation like that, it can move quickly. We can get you that information. That's not a problem. It'll go to our friends at Waste Management, yes. But anyways, so yeah, sorry about that, but that didn't take long. So that's been concluded. Okay, thank you. Okay, folks. We are ready to go with our last delegation. And it looks like can you hear me, sir? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. Sir, would you mind stating your name and the address of the property that you were speaking of for the record, if you wouldn't mind, please? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm looking for the name, and I'm also looking for the address of which the complaint is being lodged upon.
Yes, my name is Nader Bakhtiari Nejad. The address is 7128 Egremont Road.
Thank you very much. I'll allow you to make your presentation, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have someone did translate for me. Mr.
Very good.
Yousefi, yes.
Go ahead, sir.
Hello, sir. I have a letter from Mr. Bakhtiari Nejad. I am being asked to read that, so it would be more efficient and take less of your time, perhaps provide more time to deal with if any matters arises from this.
You go right ahead, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay, delegation request, Warwick Council, attention Clerk Heather Williams. Dear Clerk Heather Williams, I'm writing to request to appear as a delegation before Warwick Township Council at the next available meeting. The purpose of my delegation is to address serious concerns regarding unauthorized entry attempts onto my private property, repeated violation notices, and the stress and uncertainty this has caused me as a property owner. Chronology of event. On July 31st, 2025, township staff or contractors entered my property without consent, cut and removed fence wiring despite the Conservation Authority's stop order being in place. This incident was reported to police. On August 20th, 2025, I was issued another violation notice with a deadline of August 28, 2025. On August 27, 2025, I received yet another violation notice alleging my fences were sharp, loose, or dangerous, and stating that on September 30th, 2025, the township would remove my fences at my expense. This is contradictory, as the same department, signed by Ms. Novata, had previously confirmed no permit was required, that my posts were under 4 feet, and that the wiring used was non-hazardous. If any section was a problem, I could have been asked to correct it instead of being threatened with full removal. On August 29, township staff again attempted to enter my property without consent. I personally informed them that a stop order was still in effect and that I had filed in court. Despite this, they insisted on entry. Police attended, but instead of protecting my rights, told me that the township would enter regardless and remove my fences if I refused consent. I made clear on record that I did not consent and documented this incident by video. Reason for concern. I firmly believe these actions are not isolated, but part of a systematic pattern of pressure and retaliation. In 2024, after more than a year of unanswered complaints regarding stormwater from the county of Lambton entering my land and sewage discharge from neighboring properties, I filed legal proceedings in court. Since pursuing these matters legally, I have faced repeated violation, threats of forced entry, and attempts to impose costs on me unfairly. These measures appear retaliatory and intended to discourage me from pursuing my legal rights. Request to Council. I respectfully ask that Council review and address the township's actions regarding unauthorized entry onto private property. Clarify how violation notices can be issued while a stop order remains in effect. Ensure that enforcement actions are consistent, fair, and respectful of property rights. Thank you for your time and consideration. I request confirmation of the next available council meeting date for my delegation. Sincerely, Nadir Bakhtiari Nejad. Thanks very much. That's the text of the letter that was presented to me and asked to read it to the esteemed members of the council.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your presentation, sir. Does anybody on council have any questions? Clarities looking for clarities from our presenter today? I see none. No questions? All right. So thank you very much for your presentation. The clerk will get back to you, either the clerk or the treasurer deputy CEO with the next available time slot. And as our process outlines, you have to give reason for why you want to address council, and you've just been through that, so that will not be a surprise to you. So again, unless there's anything else, folks, we thank you very much, and we will get back to you with availability for the next meeting, if that works. Is there anything else you wanted to add before you go? No? Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a good day, gentlemen.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Okay. Okay, council. Is there any new business for council today? Now, we've already addressed a few things. Any new business? Seeing none. Okay, well, this ends the public portion of our meeting for today. I now ask for a motion to go in camera, accordance with pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 to deal with number 2, 5, and 6 of the Municipal Act. Who would like to do the honors? Councillor Morris is making the motion, seconded by Councillor Manning. All in favor? Thank you. And we'll take, what we'll do is, we're in camera, folks, but we'll take a quick 5-minute break. And